If you haven't heard about behavioral economics, it is the intersection of two amazing fields, psychology and economics. So economic theory proposes a lot of different ways that people react to different situations, supply and demand, and a ton of other theories and concepts that you're probably familiar with. Psychology, of course, has to do with there's tons of different areas you can study psychology, like personality, cognitive, neuroscience. Where they blend is because in economic theory, people do not behave as rationally as a lot of those models predict. A lot of them say, well, I'll give you an example. Would you rather have $1,000 in a year or $200 today? Now, ignore the fact that maybe you could invest those $200 and somehow make it grow. I just mean you would either be getting $200 now or $1,000 in a year. Now, economic theory says that you would wait until you could get the $1,000 because $1,000 is more than $200. Well, in the real world, people have all sorts of reasons they may choose to take that money now, especially in times of COVID where maybe they genuinely need it. Now, there's needs, desires, heuristics, there's all sorts of other things at play because humans do not behave perfectly rationally as we would assume they do in a textbook. The reason why this can be really helpful and practical in the real world is because when we understand that people don't behave in ways we would expect them to, we then can meet them where they're at and help people create change more effectively. Because, for example, if you are trying to save money, why would you go buy a new pair of shoes that you don't need? If you're trying to lose weight, why would you eat 12 chocolate chip cookies at 11 p.m. last night? Nothing wrong with that. It's just that we don't act in alignment with our goals because there's other things going on. There are so many other things going on, some of them physiological and some of them psychological. So by understanding this, we can have some compassion and also look at ourselves through more honest eyes. And the research is, really amazing. If you want to look into it more, a lot of it has to do with heuristics. So the ways we assume our mind would work, but then it doesn't actually. One example of a heuristic is anchoring. So for example, if you ask, does that tree look like it's 800 feet tall or does it look like it's 100 feet tall? If you ask the first question, they're going to be much more likely to say a much higher number, like maybe 700 or 600, versus if you say 200 feet tall, they're probably going to say something like, 2, 3, maybe 350. There's another example would be if you offer people 3 different prices, often they will pick the one in the middle. So by understanding this, we can make better decisions in the real world because we're constantly making decisions and choices, and a lot of times we don't take a step back and question what's going on in our mind to make us even make certain choices. It could affect, job selection, mate selection, what car you choose, what breakfast cereal you pick in the morning, all sorts of things that we're often unaware of. There's thousands of different factors affecting the way that we view and make decisions. We'll probably be talking more about this in the future together. There will probably be more videos on it. This is just a primer or introduction because a lot of people haven't heard of this field, but I anticipate that it will keep growing over time. It's a relatively newer field. Have a wonderful, fantastic, amazing start to 2021. You deserve it. If you want to join me on a quest for improvement mentally, physically, subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. I make weekly videos on those topics, and see you guys next week.